Alexa, close bay 1. Welcome to the 2021 Workbench series. This is my 3-tool workbench and I'm going to give you a tour around this. I'm going to warn you now, this is a talking head video and there's no sawdust involved whatsoever, but don't worry, there's going to be more to come. I'm going to show you around while I chit-chat a little bit. So I had a winter project of ripping up some old ash flooring and creating something with it. I had an old table saw and I wanted to get rid of it. I sold it. And I bought this DeWalt 10-inch at Lowe's, and I brought it home and tried to put it in my old workbench. It wouldn't fit. So that gave me a great excuse to tear that one down, use the lumber, a little bit of new lumber, and create a brand new one. This is 4 feet wide by 6 foot long. I built in the infeed and the outfeed with the mitre slots for the 10-inch table saw. I sold the portable stand that the saw comes on immediately. I never even got it out of the box. Sold that in order to finance the little bit more expense of the 10 over the 8, but I'm glad I did. Let me show you how I got the fence to work on this DeWalt and some of the design implements that I did with the fence itself. If you know the DeWalt saw, it's got these little hooks here that you can put the fence on and then latch it into place. And if you'll notice that these design elements here match the design element of the table saw itself in order to carry it around. This is a portable construction saw, but I wanted to mount it permanently so it would be a little bit more dialed in, maybe be a little bit more accurate. Now you can see on the sides I've got cutouts for the fencing system to move in and out of these cutouts, and that has seemed to work very well. The rack and pinion is nice. I haven't had a whole lot of troubles navigating everything. It's pretty easy to lock and unlock. You just have to bend down just a little bit and hit that lock of the fence, and then you can move it around. Fine adjustments, 16ths, 8ths right here with the rack and pinion knob. Very easy to do so right there. Everything's available to you right here for the saw, the on-off switch. I know what you're thinking. Can you get to the on-off switch? I went over that in my brain. The safety first, safety first. I went over that so many times, and I have not had any issues getting to the off switch. Sometimes when I hit the on switch, it cycles. You know, it revs up and then the magnetic switch doesn't catch. So I had to hit it again, but you got to reach in there and hit that. But honestly, I just reach in here, and usually with my gripper here, and turn it off. It's very easy to turn that off. The mitre is really nice. I have some material to inlay in mitre slot here to allow me to put in the mitre gauge, which I am unable to do so right now because I can't get it into here. But I've got the material to do that, which I'll also put over here at the router table. As you see, I've got a lot of little storage cubby holes around the saw itself. The blade easily stores underneath the saw. Under here is where I have a lot of the little helpers that I've created. The joiner jig for the table saw right here. I've got my sled. I've got a small planer sled. I drew everything up and I had some plans for this, the height of it, and I got it really close. The table saw is just a tad proud, but everything works. The sled slides very nicely, so I don't have any issues with that. There's still a little bit of tweaking that I could do in order to really dial it in. but I've had to stop building the bench and start making something in order to find out what I did right and what I did wrong. And then I kind of come back and then I make those little tweaks. I bought some casters off of Amazon. I originally got some at Lowe's and they were too tall. I designed these for a 2-inch caster, and I've seen those little casters that everybody gets on Amazon that has the little gear in there. No. The miter saw station was my second priority, and I did it as I wanted workspace, and I didn't want to have a permanent saw sitting where I had to move things around. Is I just made a cutout, and then I made a spot for the cutout so I don't ding it up and keep it real nice. Then I've got my, I don't want to call it cheap, but it is kind of the beginner's miter box saw right here. It's not a large saw, it doesn't pull out or anything, but I can get a 45. I've got power for the miter box saw right here, so I can just plug in. We'll go over power and dust collection in the next video, but that was the goal here. I've got T-track in order to set up stop blocks. Again, that's one of those things where you just kind of use things to figure out what you did right and what you did wrong. This was my first foray into building boxes and drawers. So I've got this right here. This is all of my router bits. I didn't do any slides. I just made some boxes out of 1/2-inch plywood and actually made wooden rails for everything to sit on. I will frequently pull these out and set them up here and dig around for, for whatever I need. This is all router bits and supplies, and this, you really don't want to look into this drawer. It's a mess. So that was a fun build. I really enjoyed this one. I left some space right here I was hoping to do more storage. I mean, that's the whole thing about this bench, is to store as much stuff on it as possible. I really don't have a storage problem. I have tons of cabinets. I have a wall of cabinets and roll-arounds that I can use, but it's nice to have, devices for your router table, right here, all your bits and whatnot. Nice to have that. If you have any questions, of course, I'll be able to answer them down below, but the miter box was great. We will go over air and dust collection in the next video. It's hilarious. You can also use the DeWalt fence to use as an extra fence out here. I've done stop blocks over here. I've done stop blocks on the fence itself. It really is kind of handy to have that, and that was by design, is to put it all over here and then have a very large work area over here out of the way from all of the tools. And when this stores down below, I have a really nice big spot to work and do whatever I got to do. Now, the third and my most favorite tool, I didn't know if I was going to be able to pull this off because I didn't have a whole lot of money to invest in it. But I have this old Craftsman hand router. This thing is probably 10, 12 years old, and it does not have a plunge base. It does not have a height and raising ability from the plate itself, but I was able to make it work. Rockler sells a plate that is generic, and you can cut out this entire thing and do it. And I thought that I was going to create this router table box. It was going to have a door. I thought all of this dust was going to settle down in here, and I was going to have dust extraction up here, dust extraction down here. I get almost zero dust into the box, and when I hook up dust collection into the fence, it gets it all. It really is. This has been so fun. I've done mortise and tenon cuts here. I've done all kinds. I've done more playing than I've done actual work with it. So this old Craftsman router has a locking mechanism right here. And I need to push that out of the way. And then you have to grab this big dial and spin it. It is not efficient, It is not speedy, but then I'm a weekend warrior, so I don't need that huge table. But look at that bit poking up out of the, we're unplugged, by the way. One of the first things I wanted to build was this little fence to go with the router table. And I'll put a link below to the video that influenced me on this. And I simply attach it to the DeWalt, and I can move it back and forth. I can loosen these plates and slide those. I can loosen this plate and slide that. What I've got going over here, this is an RV plug, and I am able to get an extension cord from the wall and plug it in, and this powers the bench. Everything goes out, the power goes in to all the tools. They're all powered internally, and this power right here is just for anything that you want. This power right here will turn on the vacuum switch, so it is hooked into the sensing circuit. And once again, I have redone that, but we'll talk about it in the next video. This blast gate was for my planer bench that I would wheel over here, and I'll show you that in a second. And also for hooking up a hose and just vacuuming by hand around. I'm also able to use these from my stationary workbench as helpers if I need it. Man, I think the guys at Rockler and Woodcraft are really tired of me coming in their store because I've come in a lot. So I am so excited to share with you all of the mistakes I made in the dust extraction and the power. Please come back for the second video for that one. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. And I don't know, what tool can I possibly put in here next? I really, really, really want a jointer. So I'm looking at a jointer, I'm looking at a bandsaw, and I'd like to, I don't think I can integrate a bandsaw in here, but I would like to use the outfeed, use this as outfeed for a jointer. So let me know what you think. I would love your comments and questions down below. I know that I've done a lot of things weird and probably a lot of things wrong, but it's really worked well, and I've been able to make some things. I made some things, and that's what it's all about, and I'm really enjoying it, and it's my workbench. Hopefully you'll comment down below and maybe share your workbench with me, and we'll see you in the next one.